Okay, so there's like two levels for me. There's one part which is obviously really positive, and just the other day, like two people in one day recognized me, and I was like, it's amazing. Like, it's really cool.
Yeah.
And then I've had a moment where I've had like a stalker. So
Welcome to Try Babies, the podcast where we're not afraid to be seen trying and crying. You're joined by Sunroom co-founders Michelle Battersby, that's me, and Lucy Mort,
That's me.
We help build the world's largest dating apps, Bumble and Hinge. Now we're in the thick of building our own tech company and we're bringing you along for the wild ride. Each week you'll hear from us as we fill you in on the good, the bad and the ugly when it comes to business, career, relationships and everything in between.
We'll tackle burning audience questions and be joined by inspiring creators, female business leaders, and the people who have motivated and energized us along the way. These won't be your typical shiny business stories. We want to showcase the experiences that go unsaid and definitely chat about the moments that don't make it onto Instagram. Prepare to hear about the lows, the failures, the doubt, and the downright nightmare days.
Navigating life through your 20s and 30s can be hard, which is why we're so passionate about creating a space for you to come to on the days you need to feel seen, inspired, educated, supported, and sometimes shocked into action. This is honestly the podcast we both needed throughout our journeys. In today's episode, we dive deeper into our CEO Lucy's story, from growing up on a farm in Mudgee to being the lead designer at Hinge in New York City. Strap in, this is episode 1 of Try Babies. Okay, so excited to be joined by Olivia on Try Babies today. She is most commonly known online as Pottery Girl. So thanks, Olivia, for joining us.
no worries. Thank you for having me.
Whereabouts are you at the moment?
So I'm currently in Bath, which is an hour and a half outside London.
Okay, nice.
It's kind of like in the countryside, but
It sounds chic.
it's like the place where people go when they move out of London if they want to start a family. It's like super safe. It's got like the most amazing like independent shops and restaurants. It's really cute, but because I was born here, I've always wanted to like leave, you know?
Okay, so were you born in Bath?
Yes, I was born in Bath, yeah.
Born and bred. And what was your childhood like? Talk me through it.
I think actually it's quite funny because me, my brother, and my sister, we all have really different stories about our childhood, depending on like how old you are. Because my parents split at such a young age, I actually remember like the best parts. So we had this house, yeah, in the countryside, really. It was like on the outskirts. And my mum and dad actually renovated this, I think it was like a nursery at the time, into this like big, like 4-bedroom family house. And so we were always out in the garden. Like we were very creative. My mum's an artist, so we were always doing something like playing in the mud, like making things out of wood, painting. And then after school, my mum actually ran like an art after school club. So I always used to go and meet her there.
That's so sweet.
In my eyes, it was very wholesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes challenging with like parents that have broken up.
How old were
But
you?
actually, I think I was like 4 when they broke up.
Okay. And are you where are you in amongst your siblings?
So yeah, there's 5 of us, but 2 are half, and then there's 3 of us with my mum, and so I'm in the middle of that. So I'm second youngest in the tribe.
How did you feel your parents' divorce affected your upbringing, or did it not play much of a role on your, I guess, sense of self?
Yeah, no, oh my God, absolutely. I think I always like yearned for my dad. And like whenever he came, I would be like hysterical. I'd be like, oh my God, my dad's coming. And I turned into a daddy's girl quite like instantly. Like as soon as I saw him coming down the driveway, my bedroom window looked out into the driveway and I would see his car pull up and I'd be like, Dad's here. Like this is the best day ever. My poor mum, like she's an absolute angel. I would go running down the stairs, like literally it doesn't matter what I was wearing. I was probably like naked at the time because I was such a little nature baby. And I'd be like running down the stairs. I'd be like, Dad. And like, yeah, it would be like the best day ever.
Oh, I'm picturing you as like this nude little kid that you're speaking about with like vines in your hair and paint all over you and that just exists in a garden.
I'm not even joking. I actually can't remember wearing shoes. Like my mum is like the best person in the world, and she'll like kind of love me and slash hate me for saying this, but I didn't wear shoes. I didn't wear clothes that much. Like I was just in the mud. Like I always used to make potions, and like I was like,
I
I
love
just
that.
was fully out in nature all the time.
You sound like a little fairy or something. I love that you mentioned that your mum was really creative, because I was going to ask you if you feel like your creativity was just inherent or if it was something that
Yeah.
evolved over time.
Yeah. So right now my mum is actually a children's illustrator. And she's like, it's just the most beautiful little illustration. She really gets like into the characters that she's painting, and it's just like the most wholesome piece of art you'll ever see. But yeah, she was always like making us do things creative. And I actually went on to go like, to fact, I think I mentioned this before, but I'm a dropout. But I did go to college and sixth form. I dropped out of both like last minute, but college was like art college, and so I did loads of like painting, art history, ceramics, photography, and I think I always wanted to own my own gallery. That was like my dream.
Did you know that from a young age? How old were you when you, I guess, had that dream?
I think quite young, because we used to go to like my mum's exhibitions when we were younger. And I was like, oh my God, I want to do this. I didn't know what I wanted to like exhibit. Like, I'm not sure if it was like ceramics or like, I think maybe more painting, because I love painting. Um, so yeah, I kind of knew from a young age that actually that's what I wanted to do. And then when you get into like your 20s, you start like experimenting with different like jobs, and then you kind of lose track on what you really wanted from the beginning, right?
Yeah, it's like society and expectations almost get in the way and can pull you off
Yeah.
course, and then you have to have this full circle moment where you almost come back to yourself.
Yeah, for sure. And I think like friend groups and like boyfriends, they play like a big part in your decision making as well. So I had like a long-term partner, and he was in like the professional sports world. So I went on to like getting into like my well-being a bit more, and went off to work on a health retreat in Ibiza.
Amazing.
Which was like the most insane thing I probably ever did at that age. It really like helped like me as a person.
I'm shocked by health retreat in Ibiza, because I just think of Ibiza as party central, but perhaps it's more about balance than I thought.
Honestly, like I think I did like I did 3 seasons there, but it wasn't like, on the strip. It was like 3 seasons of like yoga and hiking, and people are always like, oh my God, like Ibiza so well, like what are the best clubs to go to? I'm like, I never went to a super club once. Like I think I was like 19, 20, 21. I didn't go to any of the super clubs. I went to loads of like the beach bars and stuff, but because my like schedule was so strict, and I was in such the mindset of like keeping fit, I was a plant-based, I was like really looking after myself, I really became like a product of the environment that I was in.
Interesting.
But like, yeah, it was like the most amazing time in my life. It was really good.
It sounds like an incredible experience. And it also does sound, from an Australian's perspective, I just always hear Brits speak about Ibiza, and I just feel like it makes sense to me. But bringing it back a bit, just how you described yourself as a dropout before, what made you... I've never heard someone describe themselves as a dropout. That sounds like a bit of a label you put on yourself, but it sounds like it's something that maybe defined you for a little bit. So could you talk me through that?
For sure. Yeah. So I think I'm kind of proud to say dropout now, because I've like worked really hard to get where I am. Whereas before I wouldn't tell anyone that I dropped out. I would be like, no, like I've done this, I've done that. But I really think like I struggled a lot in school. I was always had high anxiety with like social relationships. And, if my school friends were to listen to this, they'd be like, really? I didn't like notice that. But my God, like I would really struggle with like feeling like I couldn't fit in properly, couldn't deliver like work on time. and just actually felt like I wasn't very good in any of those situations, whether it was like sick form, exams. I hated the pressure so much, like pressure. I was fucking shit. And then obviously went on to college, and actually, like, because I was better, the actual course and the subject, I got more into it. But the people that I was surrounded by, like, they were dropouts and they would go out partying, and I wouldn't really go out partying so much, but I really wanted to make money. And so I was always like waitressing on the side, or like working in a shop, and I was seeing how much money I could make on the weekends. And I was like, do you know what? I think I'm just gonna be able to do my own thing and probably make it work.
Yep. I want to come back to what you just said, because it sounds like definitely entrepreneurial spirit there. But something you mentioned earlier was this sense of not belonging at school. What was that like?
Like, massively. I mean, I always felt like I was a bit of a social butterfly, but not in a positive way. Like, I was quite an empathetic person. I don't know if at the time I don't know if I was like really showing that, but I always kind of bounced around the groups. Like, I would always be in like the sporty group, and then I'd be like in the smokers group. And I knew I wasn't meant to be there. And I knew I wasn't meant to be in the sporty group either. Like, I wasn't like that. They were very like theatrical and absolutely lovely. Like, all of them were great. But even like the arty girls, like, I didn't feel like I was like anyone.
So you struggled to find your people.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I think even when I was in school, I felt like I had an identity crisis, which is crazy. But I do think that is like a lot of young women.
Yeah.
We're so in our heads the whole time that actually we don't create those deep connections like we should.
Yeah, I also think when you're young, and especially at school, you're almost expected to be quite one-dimensional. You do need to fit in a box, even to your point, like the sporty group, the arty group, the smart group. I can think back on my own schooling experience and be like, yeah, I was in the sporty group, and that was just it.
Yeah.
There was not much more.
Exactly. Yeah, and actually one thing that did help me is I started to become friends with other girls that are in like other local schools, because we didn't see each other every day, but we saw each other on the weekends, and I felt like that was enough for me and my social anxiety. Like, we go to a party together and then do like, movie night, and then that was it. I was like, okay, back to school to like pretend who I am.
Yeah, I can relate to that. So I mean, I think so many people could relate to not potentially feeling like they belong at school, and then also what's celebrated at school is also somewhat put in boxes, and it sounds like your interests and talents like might not have necessarily fit into a box, and so you left, and then it sounds like you knew you needed to do something for yourself. Yeah. So what did that look like?
Well, I do think like when I started the retreat, I felt like special. I had never felt like really special, like especially being the middle child. I think there's always a lot of focus on like the older child and the younger child. And I was always I'm very happy being the middle child, and I always have been. But sometimes you need like people being like, oh, you're really good at that. Like, I feel like I didn't have loads of that when I was growing up. And so when I went there, I was the youngest in the team, and I was so hands-on, and I really got stuck in. I was very committed. And so I think, yeah, it kind of shone through, and I wanted to do that more and more. And then once you get that confidence boost, you want to go on to do other things.
I was going to say, so that initial experience probably helped you develop confidence in your abilities and prove to you that you're good at certain things. And then I know that you started a skincare brand when you were like 20 and again at 24.
Yeah. So I think honestly, like looking back, like I was so naive, but like it was good naive, because I feel like when you are really naive, you just give everything a go, right? Like, it doesn't matter. You're not like super like precious about the branding, and you just ask people for funding. You're like, look, I'm doing this, and like you don't really know how it works, but you just go for it, right?
Yeah.
But what I like, the ethos was that it was a circular skincare brand, which at the time, like, plant-based, like you could probably eat it and it wouldn't even harm you. It was that clean. Like, I was such a like a chic hippie at the time. It was perfect for me. I was like, great.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I went on to do that, and through kind of building a brand that was quite small, I fell in love with like branding, marketing, website design. And then my friend Renee, who owns bikini brand, she was like, girl, your imagery is amazing, can you come work for me? So I started to like work for different companies as well on the side, freelancing and doing marketing photography, which kind of like pushed me in a new direction, which I had to really like I was like learning so much. And yeah, actually it really suited me.
I love this story. I completely agree with what you said. I often say knowledge isn't power, naivety is power. Like there are so many things. I don't think I'd be sitting here today. I wouldn't have done Sunroom if I had known everything that lay ahead. I would have thought, fuck no, like I'm not capable of that. And that naivety, exactly. It allows you to dive in head first, and then you will just, you'll fall on your feet, you'll figure it out. But I think sometimes that knowledge and being too in your head is what holds you back from taking the steps that would actually like propel you forward in ways you couldn't imagine. But I also love this because it's bringing me back to this like little kid fairy version of you that I see in my head as a child. And like you've kind of come out of these institutions and you've just been following your intuition. You've gone to Ibiza, you've started these skincare brands, and now it feels like you're doing things that you actually love.
Yeah, I just did like a close friend story about how crazy my week is.
Really?
And it's like a good crazy. I was like, like last week I was on a TV, like I just filmed a TV show.
Yeah.
And I can't say what yet.
Yeah. But that's wild. Is it about pottery?
Yeah, it's about pottery.
This is epic. About pottery creators, or am I pushing it?
I can probably go along the lines of like being a creative on social media. I think that's probably the most I can say.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had to go up north and like film for a TV show, and then obviously doing this today, and then going to Paris Fashion Week.
That's wild.
And like it's all under like the umbrella of like not even pushing, just doing something I loved and posting it, and not even hoping for the best. Like I think the pottery thing was really random.
Yeah.
But it was also just a hobby, and it is just me. Like I love trying new shit. Like I'm always doing something new in my house, or like, I'll paint the walls, or I'll build a desk, and I'll make a marble dining table. Like I always like figure it out along the way, but it's the good part about being naive.
100%. Talk to me. This is a great segue. So talk to me about this online persona and pottery girl, and how did that start?
So I think it really just came off. No, do you know what? I'll back myself. I've always loved social media. Like I've always loved posting cool videos and pictures. I love photography. And so my social media, I loved anyway. Like I was like always posting shit that I thought was interesting or looked really cool. I was always reaching out to brands and doing like free collaborations, like free everything.
Yeah. So you were hustling.
And
were you reaching out to offering UGC and stuff?
Oh yeah. I would be like, hey, like, I'm going here, can I do this for you? And I just give them loads of free content. And most of the time I'd go to like restaurants. Like when I was in like Bali, I'd go to all the restaurants and take my camera and do amazing imagery, and I'd send them to them, and they'd be like, these are really great. I'd be like, you can buy them off me. And they'd be like, oh no, we're not going to buy them off you, but can we use them? I'd be like, yeah, okay, great. Like I was like so happy with that.
Yeah. You shoot your shot, but you still were like putting yourself out there.
Yeah, I would never do that now.
Yeah. But I also think so many people would be afraid to even just put themselves out there like that, or try. Like that's literally just not being afraid to give it a go. And I'm just going to shoot this UGC. I'm going to take myself here on my own, you know, wallet and offer this back to people, and it clearly has ended up working for you. But yeah, keep going.
Yeah, exactly. And then so I've always been into pottery. So my first job ever, no, my first job was actually working in a paint your crockery. So crockery is like pottery.
Yeah.
Place. So I would go in, and on Saturdays and Sundays, my mum actually worked there once, and I would open up the store, and then families would come in and they would choose their vase or plate or whatever, and they would paint it, and then I would glaze it and put it in the kiln. And it was it was a great job. I used to watch like Netflix, not Netflix at the time, like I don't know, YouTube
Yeah.
on my phone in the office. And when they were done, I'd be like, okay, great, take cash. And then it was like my weekend job.
Yeah.
And so I kind of was, yeah, into it anyway. Like, you know, my family are so creative. Like I said, I've done pottery before. And then for my birthday, I think it was like my 22nd birthday, my mum got me a pottery wheel. And I didn't quite have enough space for it in my flat at the time. And then I moved house. And I was like, oh, I'm going to get my pottery wheel out and do it like every Sunday. And the first Sunday that I got it out and had like this little moment, I had it all set up. And I filmed myself. I was like, this could be quite funny. And it was a complete fail. Like literally, I threw the clay on the wheel whilst it was spinning, and it fucking flew off, like out of the camera shot. And I uploaded it onto TikTok, and it just went viral.
Really? That first video?
It was like the first video. And I hadn't seen any other like potters on TikTok or Instagram when I did that. And then I was like, fuck, there's people quite like this. And so maybe I just filmed my progress, my pottery progress. And that was like 2 years ago, like maybe just under 2 years. And so that's where it kind of started. And then every single pottery video that I uploaded, people were so interested. And they were like, can I buy stuff? I was like, well, no, because all you'll get is like a shitty lump of clay. I mean,
there's nothing to buy.
You're welcome to it. But yeah, so it was quite funny. But that's kind of how it started.
What about people's response to you sharing these pottery videos surprised you?
It was just like I got lots of compliments, and I was like what the fuck, like why? I mean, I don't look sexy, my clothes aren't off, I'm wearing like oversized dungarees that I got on the Brixton market, like like they are cool, but I hadn't worn them at like that much before. But you know, I think it was like the music choice and like maybe the outfit, and it was just kind of me being not perfect, which people loved.
I definitely think that, like the scrappy rawness, and it's the stuff you don't try for on TikTok is what does the best. I was definitely blown away. Like when you first came on Sunroom, I was like, holy shit, like people are obsessed with this kind of content. And I was taken aback by how it is kind of sensual, but you don't expect this thing to be sensual. Like it's a bit like you get dirty, like it's a bit grubby. It's like it's physical labor.
For sure. I think people love watching someone create, and I think that's one part of it. That's like an element of it. And then I guess like the other parts are like it is a very sensual act, like the way you move your hands, like it's very sensual, like the shapes, like you know, I know everything, like I'm not naive to this part. I get it. And I think like you can really have fun, and it's not a very serious thing to watch. But it was quite funny the other day, someone said that I'm the Nigella Lawson of pottery.
You
and
are.
I completely took, I was like, micro wave, like I'm here for it. Like
you are, because I've actually brought Nigella up a lot when we were starting Sunroom, because the way she speaks about food is quite sensual. And she
Yeah,
is also this like sensual woman as well. And she just
yeah.
leans into it and it's amazing.
Mm.
And I was about to ask you how you felt about people potentially sexualizing your content. But then as I was thinking about it, I don't even know that I believe they're sexualizing it. It's a little bit, because it has this like cheekiness to it. And that is how I would describe Nigella's style as well.
Yeah, for sure. I don't actually think that it's the viewers sexualizing it. I think it is a sexy hobby. I really, really do. I've spoken to friends, they've recently just done their first pottery class and they were like, I get it. Like when you're touching the clay, it's like kind of squishy. It's like flesh. It's like you're adding moisture. And it's like, have you ever done like a sulfur mud bath? Like it's kind of sexy. You're like rubbing like, mud into each other. And it's very primal. But also I do actually think that naturally I'm an open and sexual person, if I don't mind, saying so. And I think I kind of maybe just show that naturally, is I do have a flirty personality.
Yeah.
And I think it kind of just comes through.
It's perfect. And I think it's cool. Like I've never heard it described like that. You're right. Like it is primal. It is a sexy hobby. And it's cool that it's the kind of hobby that like you're fully clothed doing it. So you can like express yourself and post this content anywhere and everywhere. Let's get into like the making money side of things, because I've spoken to artists before around there's even I think there's a bit of a stigma around just even making money as an artist and turning that like craft into a profession, and you're using your craft in multiple like different ways to make money, which is epic. But what's that journey been like around like monetizing yourself online?
Yeah, I think for me personally, it seems pretty like obvious because I've been in the content creation world anyway.
Yeah.
And so I've been in marketing, I'm in content creation, I've done modeling, I've done all these different parts of making money online, showing myself. And the only part about being an artist, which I didn't like, was the part where you don't make money until you die. And I was like, that doesn't cut it for me. Yeah. I want to make money. I want to enjoy it. And I want to do what I love and be able to have a certain lifestyle that suits me and people can enjoy it. And so when I started Sunroom, and it was a complete like whim, I've always watched videos of these girls and they're like, oh, I've made like X amount this month, and this like next month I'll make this much. And I was like, really? Like there's always a little part of me that doesn't believe it.
Yeah.
And then I joined and I was like, okay, I get it.
I remember you saying that you'd put on your close friends. What was your goal? Was it to make like $1,000 over 3 months or something?
Oh yeah, that was it. So I uploaded on my close friends a video being like, right guys, I've just joined Sunroom, and if I make £1,000 in 3 months, then I'll carry on. I think after like, I think it was like a week, because that first month I made 5.5. I think it was like I think it was like 5.5 grand in pounds.
Yeah.
With the bonus, thanks, you had a bonus on as well, and I was like, this is wild. Like, I've made double what I would normally earn in my shitty job that I fucking hated, that I thought I was meant to do.
What do you think? I think this element of people not believing they can actually make money in this way is so real. Yeah. Like we as a brand, we even get trolled on Instagram all the time. Like, this is fake, like, you're
it's not
lying.
Real. Yeah.
Where do you think that came from you?
I mean, I think unless you don't try it, and if you're not surrounded by people that are doing it, and you're not actually having that connection with someone, like if I think I actually messaged another girl who was doing it. I'm not sure if she replied, but I was like, hey, I'm about to join Sunroom. Like, is it worth it? And is it real? Like, you actually earning that much?
Like we're lying.
I wanted to know. I was like, is this just marketing? Because Like you see TikToks and reels these days, and there's always these people in the street like, how much you've got in your bank account? I got 2 million, I sell my pants. It's like, I don't actually know if that's real, and most of the time it's made up.
That's so true.
And social media, we all know in our heads it's like 80% fake. Like most stuff is face tuned. Like we're changing our bodies, we're only showing highlights, and we're literally only showing the good parts of ourselves. So for me, I was like, okay, do you know what? Yeah, like £100. Okay, great. Like I could just buy a new dress.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then just went on, and then the next month was like even crazier. I think it was like 10 grand. Yeah, in the second month was just wild.
I know. I've been so happy for you, because when someone comes on with lower expectations, it's amazing, because you can like kind of help or just see that be blown out of the water. But it's also just so incredible for us, like behind the scenes, to see people be able to come on and like actually get this money in their bank account and know that it might be making like a positive impact.
Yeah. I remember when it came into my bank account, I screenshotted it, I sent it to my mom, and I was like, holy shit. She was like, Liv, what the fuck? And I was like, I had like tears in my eyes. I was like, I've never earned this much money before, ever. And what I've done since is my friends fucking hate me, because all I'm doing is ringing them up, being like, get yourself on Sunroom. Why are you giving that away for free on like your stories? Like, and they honestly hate me for it, but I'm just like, if you're giving away that kind of like content, whether it's like educational or just like the most beautiful content that people really want to see and they would pay for, then offer it as a, like, you know, an online service and be rewarded for it.
Yeah.
And I do kind of think, as I think some men have this as well, but I really do think women especially, we don't actually believe that we deserve it.
Yeah.
Like when it came into my account, I was like, I feel like I don't deserve this. But actually I've been building my social media up for years, and I've been teaching myself, I've been, you know, doing online courses that I've invested in myself, and like all these elements that have really made me think, actually, no, wait, I do deserve this. I give away a lot of free content that's entertaining and people want to watch it.
Where do you think that initial I don't deserve this response came from? Like what was making you feel that initially?
That is such a good question. I don't even think my therapist has asked me that. I don't know. I guess maybe from my childhood, because yeah, I don't know. I think maybe because I was the middle child and I was always doing things, maybe it never got recognized enough. And so I've always kind of gone through life and done things and they haven't quite got noticed. And this way it wasn't noticed by people, it was noticed by actually getting like money.
Yeah. And it's literally like money in your bank account that is proving you've obviously gone out and done something. You've got a skill. You know, you've been able to attract an audience. You've been able to work social media, which is hard. You've been able to retain that audience. Then you've been able to move them across to another platform, which can also be hard and demand strategy.
Oh my God, I have to say one of the best things for me was when I first started my pottery kind of journey and I was uploading all these videos. There were some people in my kind of circle that would bash me for it. They'd be like, oh, you're still doing that, you know? And they'd kind of take the piss out of me, right? And kind of put me down. But I think it's a reflection of themselves not being happy, right? Everyone knows that if you're giving someone else shit about what they're doing or if they're passionate about it, or anything, right? Like they're obviously just not enjoying their own little slice of life. And as soon as I got paid for it and I felt like, do you know what? That feels good. Like I've gone out there and I've stuck with it. And I haven't listened to these people who are giving me shit the whole time.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing I really enjoyed about it. And because I'm a people pleaser, I didn't listen to them. Listen to myself for once.
Yeah. I think there is still so much judgment and jealousy that exists in online spaces. And it's so Yeah, it's so easy for people. Well, this is a general statement. So many people don't judge, but there is a
Mm,
large category of humans still out there that I think
yeah,
really likes to degrade and devalue the work
yeah,
of like creators and influencers
hmm,
and look at it as
yeah,
maybe like a bit of a piss take or a bit
hmm,
desperate or not that
yeah,
hard. And I just
yeah,
think they take these like low blow shots. But I feel like
yeah.
that perspective is just so wildly outdated now, to be honest, and a bit
So I
uneducated
did.
because
Yeah.
it's legitimate work. Like this career path and existing
Mm,
online is making people incredibly successful. Like this is a multi-billion dollar industry.
so successful.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I would just agree massively. Like some of my, girlfriends who didn't believe in me are now like, oh, like you did that thing. Like I heard that you filmed for like a program. Like, and it's not until like a little chunk of life later when you've stuck to it and they start to hear things and they're like, oh, you stuck to that thing that I like, you know, gave you shit about. Like, how's it going?
Mm.
And you're like, yeah, really good, thanks.
And
Like,
they'd probably
great.
want to do it too.
Yeah, and I can honestly, I'm not even lying. Like I can see like people who gave me shit, like kind of copying now, and I'm like,
Mm.
that is the biggest compliment ever. But
Yeah.
I've honestly been one of those girls where I will always like repost my friends, like businesses or like if they've done an amazing shoot, I will repost it and like
Yeah.
I'll always shout them out. And it's really interesting actually when you start to do something who shouts you out, who like texts you saying good luck today.
Mm.
um and yeah, I think actually I'm on a bit of a journey of finding my tribe
Mm.
now.
Yeah.
And I was speaking to someone on the weekend about this, and it's quite deep, but it's really important. There's a lot of people in friendship groups that I think just get comfortable with a shallow level of friendship
Yeah.
and support, and same with family as well.
Mm.
Um, yeah.
Yeah, I think as you get older, you also just don't really have time for people that like aren't giving back or maybe like meeting your
Hmm.
same vibrations. And I think you become a little bit more comfortable with letting go of certain friendships and being okay with that and not seeing it as a bad thing.
Honestly, recently I've done the same. It's like I've done a detox.
Mm.
And at the beginning, I was like, oh my God, this is really horrible. Like a lot of energy has just left my life.
Mm.
And now I'm like finding solace in it. And
Mm.
I couldn't be more happy like today. Like today's been such a great day that
Love
I've been like,
that.
wow, like reflecting a lot. And I've done a lot of journaling. And it's really amazing when you allow that kind of space to re-enter your life for other relationships to come back in and give you that support when you're in like doing something amazing in your career or just bigging you up in life. Like we all need it.
Oh, definitely. Especially if you're existing on online spaces as well. Like you need your in real life friends to be lifting
Oh my
you
God.
up and have you
Oh
back.
my God, 100%. This is why my close friends, they think I'm honestly crazy because I'll just like film like what I'm doing today. But it's kind of like a way to inform them on what I'm doing because everyone's literally living so quickly these days. And we will go to social media before messaging our mates, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
Especially
in my
close
head,
friends. Close
yeah,
friends is
close
like, let's
friends.
kill one, many birds with one stone.
Yeah, I'm literally like, it's like a broadcast. It's like
Yeah.
one of those BlackBerry fucking broadcasts back in the day. And so I'll just do like, right, guys, I've done this, this, and this. And, I'll get a handful of people being like, that's fucking great. That's great. Like, and it's really cool. It's just keep everyone in tune with what you're doing. And then when you see them next, they know what you've been up to.
Yeah. What do you think is the hardest part of sharing your life online?
Um, Hardest part of sharing my life online on Sunroom or Instagram and TikTok.
I would find TikTok way scarier than Sunroom personally, but I'd be interested to know your thoughts. Like how does it differ how it feels on Sunroom versus social networks?
I think, okay, so there's like two levels for me. There's one part which is obviously really positive, and just the other day, like two people in one day recognized me, and I was like, it's amazing. It's really cool.
Yeah.
And then I've had a moment where I've had like a stalker. So there's like literally like, you know, split personalities of that question. And
The stalker, that's terrifying. I've had a stalker situation as well, and I feel for you
yeah,
because it was one of the scariest things I dealt with. It feels like someone reaches into your personal space without your permission, and you like can't get them out.
yeah, it's just like so unneeded. And I think I understand what I'm putting out there. I understand that maybe people might get, I know, a certain way, and I've had like comments. I understand what people are thinking in DMs and this kind of stuff people say to me. But when it is a physical stalker in, you know, the area that I'm in, like I've had like letters, I've had like several letters, and yeah, someone following me through a field, like,
oh my God,
many times. Yeah, it was like a proper situation, which I think I handled very well at the time. I've never been scared to be by myself. I like to think of myself as like someone, actually, I'm a pretty on the ball person physically and mentally, if that were to approach me.
Yeah.
But it did make me think, you know, I do have to be careful, and a lot of men and women now have to be careful with showing where they live, and just know that there are people with that mindset out there. And I guess that's maybe the more negative side.
Yeah. Yeah. What about trolling? Have you experienced that?
Yeah, like I get a few comments that maybe aren't very nice, but if I'm really honest, like not very many.
I feel like you're in such a wholesome space, which might like protect you a bit from that, which is amazing.
Yeah.
But I also find TikTok is like the Wild West.
Yeah, I mean, I used to go through my filtered comments. You know, you can like see your like filtered ones that maybe like have swearing and they're a bit rude.
Yeah.
And I honestly don't go through them anymore. Like I just don't have the time.
No,
and
blinders on.
They can stay there.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Okay. This has been amazing. Gonna wrap this up a little bit. What are your career goals in the next 5 years?
Next 5 years, I think I want to launch my own online store
with pottery,
where people can buy where people can buy my creations.
Love that. Seek funding through Sunroom.
Oh yeah, I mean that's already happening.
Yeah.
That's already happening. And then I think I really want to launch a physical space where people can come in and see what it's all about, because it honestly, even though online it can be seen as a very like thirst trap kind of fun video that people just love to send about, the actual art of pottery and, you know, it really just makes you focus and it grounds you a lot. And for me personally, like it's therapy. Like that's the reason I kept doing it.
I love that.
It's honestly it's the most beautiful craft, and I would love more people to do it as much as they can. And if you can, just get like a really cheap wheel on Amazon. That's what I did, and just order some clay and fuck about and put some music on and have a drink. And it's honestly the best thing in the world.
I love that. We did a team bonding day inspired by you where the whole company did pottery. So I think once that space opens up, we can do it again, but the whole team can come to London.
Yes.
Okay, so we have a tradition here at Try Babies where we wrap the episode up with a spicy question. So I just need to pick my spicy question for you. Okay, Olivia. Have you ever had sex in public?
Not in front of people, but in a public place.
I love it. You had to clarify not in front of people. Where was it?
I was like, in public? Is it an exhibition?
No. Where was it?
Do I have to give the exact place?
No, maybe just like, was it in a park? Was it like a club bathroom?
Like a really nice bathroom.
Okay, chic. That passes.
The other wholesome one I would give is like in the forest.
Oh,
I should have said
beautiful.
I should have just said that first. That's
Stunning.
way more wholesome.
Stunning. Okay, and one last one. What's your like personal biggest red flag? Like your individual one?
Individual red flag?
What's the reason why someone might be like, ooh, I don't know about her?
Oh my God. Probably I would ditch them for my dog like any day of the week.
That's a green flag. That's a green flag.
Is it? Okay.
No, we can
maybe
go.
just I'll add. I'm an avoidant.
Okay.
I'm a big avoider.
Okay. Are you working on it?
So massively.
Yeah. Great.
I am honestly, so shit at confrontation. But
Okay.
we're working on it.
Well, it's not bad. I'm probably the opposite end of the spectrum. Thank you so much for joining us. This has been amazing. It was so nice getting to know you, and we are just such big fans of you and everything that you do at Sunroom. So keep going, and we're cheering for you from the sidelines and can't wait to see this TV show that you have coming out.
Oh my God, thank you so much.
No problem.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. And remind everyone, what's your social handles if they want to find you?
So TikTok is oliviapotterygirl. And then Instagram is Olivia Webb, which is HAMERWEBB.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Olivia. Bye.
Oh, thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much for joining us on this week's episode. A quick ask, if you enjoyed listening, it would mean the world if you could jump on Spotify or Apple and review the podcast. 5 stars only, please. We need to build that army so we can read what you loved and what you want to hear more of. We're so grateful to have such an incredible community of empowered, motivated, and confident women supporting each other here to go after their dreams. That's what we've needed most throughout our journey. You can subscribe so you don't miss our episodes, or head over to our Try Babies podcast Facebook group and Try Babies Insta, where we can connect with you more and ask us questions that you want answered in the show. See you on the next episode of Try Babies.